excessive fertilizer. So he pours it, he puts it in his fields or whatever, and whoops, you can keep pumping. Sometimes this takes a while, but hopefully it will not take too long. Doesn't sound like it's really simple. Ideally, what we'll see, go ahead, and it looks like it's kind of happening. We should see that over time, we're using our water, we're pumping out of the well, and we're pumping the groundwater, but the pollution, or whatever it is that you're putting on the ground, in the groundwater system, will be getting sucked over here. We'll see it up here in our pond, and it will also eventually come over and get sucked up in our well. So now you have those the pollutants in the well. And like I said, sometimes it takes a long time, but it looks like it is filtering over here a little bit. So it's a nice visual. You can stop now, it's fine. Thank you very much. It's a nice visual to see not only a connection between, what happens to what we put on the ground, how the groundwater is connected to surface water. Because, at first when I said, have any of you ever seen the water table, no one really raised their hand. But now we all know, with this example of the pond here, that now you all recognize the connection between, hopefully, between surface water and groundwater. So we're going to go from here very quickly and just do a very brief demo with, I think, right? Is that what? Or do we have?
It's about 10 after.
It's your call.
What do you guys want to do? You want to wait around, or if people have to leave, they have to leave?
Feel free to jump up and leave if you want. I'll do it quickly. If you want to go, you go. It's basically the concepts are of this. It's called an Enviroscape, and it is just a visual model of non-point source pollution versus point source pollution, and the different types of pollutions that can occur on a landscape. So this is a topic that you most likely will see on the test. Will be on the test. But for you to know, maybe just jot down ideas for you to learn on your own. The difference between non-point and point, different types of those pollutions that you can find on a landscape, and also how can you prevent that? What are some BMPs, or best management practices, to prevent that? If you stick around for 5 minutes, I'll go over. So I'm going to move this over to the middle table, and then we'll do a quick demonstration. So just move. Yeah, we can just. You can just.
I'll turn around.
You can just shove that over. So point source pollution. It's coming from a specific place. Okay. So what we're going to show an example of is on this. Think of. You have an industrial, like an industry up here, over here, and you can get up and move around so you can see easier. Feel free to get up and move. Yep. Yes, you can. Oh. You can. Well, you can just dump that right in the bathroom once you get, or in here if you want. You can just dump that in there and keep pumping. I just took apart the pump. Where's the?
We haven't used it in the last training.
So this is an Enviroscape, and it's going to show us the difference between point and non-point. So I did mention that point solution is coming from a particular spot. So we have different areas on this landscape. We have a construction site up here, a residential area. A residential area here, a golf course, a forest, a little mountain area. We've got the roads, a river here, a lake here, and an industry up here, and then a farm down here with a crop area. So does anyone, just from me saying what a point source is from a specific area, where do you think that we might have, where do you think on this model, we might have point sources of pollution. Okay, cars, perhaps it's coming directly from a car. Maybe if a car was getting its oil changed or something near a stream and it went directly in. This, when it was completely functioning, was a hole, and there was a pipe that led over here and was directly dumping whatever sort of pollutants went through the pipe directly into the stream. So this would have been a direct source of pollution. So up here in the industry, there's a hole here. There are rules and regulations as far as what industries can do, but sometimes they don't work properly, or sometimes they just say whatever to the regs and do it anyway because of money, because of time, for whatever reason. So here's an example of pollution directly going into this swale, which leads down into the river. So this little cap is representing a sewer treatment plant. Okay, so they have these. Yes, imagine what this is. Okay, so we have these large basins, which, ideally are keeping everything in and treating it before it gets dumped into the Patuxent or wherever. I'm sure if you've ever driven down 95, you smell something in the Cranston-Warwick area sometimes, and this is what you're smelling, is a sewer treatment plant. So they have these large catchment areas that are treated, but sometimes if they fail, or sometimes after a very large storm event, it has overflow, and it will go directly into the river there. Okay, so that's point source. Now we have many things for non-point source. So non-point, if point source is direct, what do you think non-point? Okay, it's indirect, right? So on a farm, so we have some things sprinkled here, we have some sediment and whatnot here.
Is acid rain considered a non-point?
Yes, I believe yes. So on the farm, we might have some fertilizer, and we have some oil near the car. All right, on the roads. And of course, you can't have pets without some poop. People don't really think of this, but, okay, well, how much does my cat or dog really impact the environment? But if you have a large subdivision and everyone has a dog or two, and we all know everybody poops, like the book says, right? And cows, right? So cows, so we have some manure. Now, someone can be my rain. So this is just rain all over. So we have a storm coming in, okay? So as it rains, we have, what's the R word? Rains on things and the water moves and creates runoff, right? So at the farm. So because we have this field here that is entirely exposed, there are no crops, it's been plowed. So we have all this soil, and the soil is being washed away. Not only that, but whatever. That's a power. So we have, the excess fertilizer and whatnot that did not go into the ground is being washed over here. Now we see a plume over here in our little lake, which also has some waterfowl, and waterfowl even creates contamination.
So, question.
Yes.
So, what was there to be, because this was caused by runoff over here, but didn't this result in,
Well, this here at the sewer place, they're actually, imagine a pipe. And actually you can go directly and say, they discharge directly into it.
They're putting things directly into the lake intentionally.
Right. Well, even if it's not intentional, there's a direct source. Imagine a pipe going into a river, okay, whether it's by accident or purposely. So whereas here, you might have a larger area, you can't say, there's pollution in the water, but it's probably from pet waste.
Pollution into the area, or direct, you can do bringing pollution into the area, like with this, but not intending it to get into the river, but it gets into the river anyway.
Well, the point versus non-point is, non-point, think of like over a vast area after a rainstorm, and the rain picks up things and washes it eventually into it,
That
instead
non-point?
of, that's non-point, yeah?
All right.
Whereas point would be,
There's one specific spot.
right, exactly,
pollution.
a pipe going in, a pipe on the side of the road, you know, like even a swale on the side of a road, directing it down into a wetland or something to keep rainwater off the road, right? People don't want to hydroplane and get into a car accident, so they're trying to remove water off the road, but what they're doing is they're directing that water in one spot. So that would be point. So specific places where you can go out and say, oh, there's a pipe there, there's a pipe there, those things that are directly introduced into a system by something specific that you can go out. Whereas the non-point is, you know, like even up here in the forest, all the brown here, the exposed soil, where it was logged. So you have a vast area, it rains, and then you have sediment coming down, washing into here. You have in a, you know, there may be pesticides or fertilizers and things in the residential area that are on the grasses, but as it rains, it may get washed down. In here, we have the brown on the sides here, a swale, or on the edges of the lake here are unvegetated areas. So again, it rains, whatever's there, sediment is washed in. It's not a pump, right? The erosion, exactly.
Well, what about this? What is this supposed to be? Oh,
I think just
rocks?
rocks, yeah. So the other flip side of this is, so we've seen how it rains and we have point source and non-point source pollution, but what are some things that you can think of that we could do to prevent that?
Having barriers between the pollution sources and the waterways.
Exactly. So, because any
Plants that suck in the excess nitrates.
great. So right. So plants. So we can have vegetative buffers. So if there are exposed surfaces, especially like at an elevation next to a pond or a stream or something, they can vegetate those areas so that the vegetation now slows the rain down, and there's a cover so that the sediment doesn't go directly in. At a construction site, I'm sure you guys have seen hay bales or silt fencing around when people build homes or projects on the road. So you can have, so these are hay bales, okay, that are around that completely envelop the construction site so that it allows water to flow through, but it traps the sediments if they're properly installed on the side of the construction, so you don't have erosion, you don't have additional sediment coming through. So same thing, revegetating a logged area. Farmers, once they plow, they could always put mulch down to prevent, so to slow that rainwater down so it's not hitting the soil and washing it away, but it's slowing that down. Or just, planting grass after in between crops. Can anyone else think of anything as far as preventative?
If you had a better system for this that reached into the ground so the groundwater didn't get to it, it didn't leach out.
Wait, say that part again. I didn't hear. So system at the sewer treatment plant to do what?
They have a connection underground next to the water table so it didn't leach out from there.
Okay.
It's like
So
covering it so water didn't overflow.
okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, so have something else for it, maybe a secondary system. If it's going to overflow, it overflows into something else before, to give it some time, for a storm, so it's not going directly in. That's a good idea.